What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to Saturday night's late night agenda. I know I said I wasn't going to stream today, but I was sitting down earlier on and I was about to record a video. And I thought, you know what? Just stream. Do a stream later on, Craig. We'll talk for the news then. And of course, we'll get excited about what may come over the next week. So, again, thank you all for coming and joining me. I hope you're having a lovely weekend so far. We do have quite a bit to go through on tonight's stream, but as always, any topics that you guys would like to see me cover, you know what to do. Let me know in the comment section. Right, sorry, I'm a bit distracted here because I now have a monitor set up above my other monitor for the game tomorrow, and it's very imposing having it hanging kind of over my head. So how are we? Are we good? Did you see the Villa Newcastle game earlier on? What a result that was for Villa, and it kind of makes the top five. I was going to say top four, top five race very interesting now. Some big teams are going to miss out by the looks of it. So let me know who you guys think takes those last few places. Right, good evening, said Badruddin. How are you, bro? Welcome in. Lovely to see you. Let's start off with a little bit of good news around one of our players, Mr. Conor Bradley, who has won the Northern Irish Player of the Year. So congratulations to Conor Bradley on that one. It was announced earlier on. Worth the wait, Conor Bradley is your 2024, they say, at EE Northern Ireland Player of the Year. So congratulations to Conor Bradley on that one, and no doubt the first of many awards he's going to pick up over the coming years. Liverpool could officially win the league tomorrow. Yes, there's a couple of things that could officially happen tomorrow. We could relegate Leicester if we beat them. I mean, that's a certainty. If they lose, they're going to be relegated. Obviously, we have to wait and see what happens with the Ipswich game. Look, I'm not expecting anything other than an Arsenal win. Mikel Arteta has been, well, he's been speaking about some fighting words. So let's give you a little insight into what Arteta had to say. He said, we'll make sure that we win the game against Ipswich and that Liverpool, winning the league doesn't happen tomorrow. It's a big game. We need to start to win football matches, at least maintain the position that we're in the last few games with some hope. So Arteta doesn't want it to happen, of course. No shock there, but I don't think we do it tomorrow either, in all honesty. I think they will beat Ipswich Town. And then I wonder, though, Crystal Palace midweek, that'll be an interesting one. And we are going to do a watch-along of that game on Wednesday, just in case. Because I wouldn't want us to be crowned Premier League champions and not be live for it. If Arsenal draw, do we win the league? No. They have to lose. At least from my dumb mathematics calculations. No, they have to lose. Got a feeling it's got to be 2-1 Ipswich win, said Mario. Do you know what? Honestly, I can't see anything other than an Arsenal win. I really can't. You know, they're going to be absolutely buzzing. And even if they rotate heavily, I think there's enough time for them before the semi-final that they'll... I think they'll get it done tomorrow. But look, you never know. I mean, we could be starting our match coverage tomorrow, winning the league as we start the coverage. So let's wait and see what tomorrow has in store. Sith said your streams are good for taking mind off things. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Same for me. I like them as a distraction as well. It's always lovely to come on and have a chat with you guys. I much prefer to do a live stream than throw up a news video. Right, so tonight we're going to talk about links to a Juventus player, NICOLO Rovella, who's on loan at Lazio. So we've been linked with a move for him. We'll talk about that. A little bit on Virgil van Dijk. A bit more on Xavi Simons. Richard Hughes praise coming from Arne Slot. We're going to talk about Florian Wirtz and why it looks like he may not be going to Manchester City. It looks like he has his eyes firmly set on a move elsewhere. A little bit coming up from Fabrizio Romano around the future of Luis Diaz. And, well, the title of tonight's stream is that Liverpool are in the box seat and have a significant advantage in the pursuit of one of our targets. What do you think of the Aston Villa performance today? It was a great performance. I was expecting them to be a little bit more lethargic, obviously, after playing Champions League, but came out of the blocks early, got the Ollie Watkins goal after, 38 seconds or something. He hit the post and the crossbar as well. So they deserve the win. It wasn't a surprise to me, though, because Newcastle themselves been in great form, but that makes the top five race now very, very interesting. Someone said opinions on Darwin that I can't wait to see the back of him, is my opinions on Darwin. Do you know what? It's just been one of the most emotionally draining players to have at Liverpool for the last few years, because just when you think, you're done with him, he drags you back in with a performance or a goal or a moment. But I think overall we need more consistency. So yeah, won't be. Well, look, I will be disappointed it didn't work out, but I won't be shocked when he gets sold because it's the right decision. Seeing that we're favourites for HUIJSEN, well, that seems like the perfect place to start, LFC, my friend. So let's talk about that. So, story today said Liverpool look to have a significant advantage over Real Madrid in the race to sign Dean HUIJSEN. And lots of journalists talking about Liverpool's interest here. Unlike, let's say, Kirkes or Semenyo or other players at Bournemouth who they may not want to lose, HUIJSEN does, of course, have that £50 million release clause, and it looks like Liverpool and Chelsea are ahead of the queue, apparently. And look, we know Chelsea seems to have never-ending supplies of money, but there you go, Liverpool looking like front runners for a signature. And I'm going to tie this into the situation with Ibrahima Konate, because a post from Anfield Edition and crediting Paul Joy said, new contract talks for Ibrahima Konate do not appear particularly advanced. How are we feeling about this? Because I just do get the feeling that we may see Konate sold this summer. Not that it's something that any of us would want to see happen. But again, let's be realistic about the situation we're in. 1 year to go on his deal. If they can find a breakthrough, like I've said for the past week, you're probably going to have to sell him. And Paris Saint-Germain, I'm sure, who need a centre-back, would be a willing buyer. Don't think Liverpool would see the full value of Konate there, but I would certainly expect them to get the money they paid for Ibu back and probably a little bit more. But for me, if we got rid of Konate and brought in HUIJSEN, I'm still on the selling Kwanzaa train, to be honest with you. I think we could do with somebody a little bit more well-rounded than Kwanzaa. Personally, just my take on it. I think it's crazy, decent age and has bundles of talent, said Pasky. I'm not sure which one that's in relation to, my man. If we're talking about HUIJSEN, brilliant age, 19 years of age, already Premier League tested, now a Spanish international. So for me, yeah, look, it would be a no-brainer. El Hero said Konate is better. Look, the problem with Konate is the contract situation. I don't think any of us will sit here and say we want rid of Konate. I certainly don't. But again, we do have to be realistic about it. If Liverpool and Konate can't seem to come to an agreement, then he has to be sold, because we can't afford to run the risk of letting him leave for free in a year's time. So hopefully we wake up to news that it does get sorted. But when you've got the likes of Paul Joyce saying there's been no advancement in the negotiations, you've got Fabrizio Romano the other day saying that it was looking positive a few months ago, things went very quiet, and it doesn't look like there's been any progress since. I don't know why. I'm sure you guys don't either. It'll either be down to a very big gap in valuation, or maybe Paris Saint-Germain getting in Konate's ear. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't know what's going to happen there. Craig, as an attacking option, would you look at one of the Brentford duo, proven Premier League quality? Oh, look, Brad, I've long been an admirer, mate, of Brian Mbeumo in particular. But I think it may be the other side we need an attacker on. I get the feeling Diaz is going to go this summer as well. And I think we're going to see a revisit to the Anthony Gordon conversation. Not saying 100% that Anthony Gordon will be signed, but there's a few things that make me feel like it's actually possible. One, we could lose a player in that area with Diaz. Two, we may need the homegrown quota to be upped. We know that he's a Liverpool fan. We know Stevie G's his idol. We know that he wants to move to the Reds. But the problem had always been Newcastle didn't want to lose him. But he's starting on the bench a lot recently because Harvey Barnes is in great form. So I wonder, would Newcastle be more open to it? And if Diaz does move on, well, then we could refresh the age bracket, add in a whole-grown player. And I'm starting to see more and more conversation about it as well from certain aspects of the journalistic world. Bad news, Joyce. No, it's bad news, Pierce. Joyce isn't always bad news. Joyce is just more blunt and to the point, which I actually like, to be honest. Can you please do a prediction on who wins the semis and the final of the Champions League? Honestly, I think it's a coin toss between PSG and Arsenal. Just like I thought it was a coin toss between us and PSG. So really don't know there. The other side, I feel confident Barcelona will get through. But, when you've got an Italian team and their defensive nous, it's never going to be easy. But for me, I would guess Barcelona, and I'll probably slightly edge the PSG because they have the second leg in Paris. And that's probably the only deciding factor for me. If the second leg was in London, I'd probably edge Arsenal. So I'm really 50-50 on that one. And I'm going to be a very interested spectator of it anyway. Flip Flop said, do you think we're still interested in Anthony Gordon? I don't know, is the honest answer, but I don't see why we wouldn't be, because nothing has really changed from our position other than we may now be a step closer to losing a forward. Mohamed Salah signed on, that's absolutely brilliant. Cody Gakpo, great player, love having him at the club. But I do think there is going to be change, and again, I'm not starting this conversation about Diaz being sold, but you guys have probably seen yourselves. Every single day, there's links to him with Saudi. There's been no talk of Liverpool looking to give him an extension. And I'm guessing he's going to be one of those players that gets moved on. I wouldn't be in any rush to push Diaz out the door, but hand on heart now, if you said to me, would you swap Diaz and Gordon just in the squad position? Yeah, I would. I'd take the younger Anthony Gordon, who I feel like would really run through a brick wall. Not saying that Diaz doesn't work hard, of course he does, but we know that he's a red, and that means something to me. And also, and I can't say this enough, boiling some Everton piss wouldn't go astray either in this scenario. So yeah, I'd take the swap, because as much as I do like Diaz, overall I feel like there hasn't been enough end product. Although in the last 5 games he's contributed a bit more there. Craig, Craig, would this be a good summer in your opinion? Ekitike Delap. Yes. No issues with that whatsoever if we need 2 forwards. If Jota stays, I think it'll just be one that we bring in centrally. And I think United are the ones who are going to make the strongest play for Liam Delap. It looks like he's their number 1 target. At least, I was watching back pages tonight, and I don't want to put words in Mark Ogden's mouth, but I think I remember him saying that Delap was the one that United were looking to push for. Obviously, he's a Mancunian himself and works for ESPN, but I'm fairly sure he said that United are targeting Liam Delap. But then again, I've seen some mad links to United over the last day or two. Semenyo, another one. But I don't know where they're getting the money from. Unless, of course, they do manage to win the Europa League and get into the Champions League. But even then, hard to see. They're going to have to move some players on. There was a story there I was reading just before I went live that said that United are going to offer a swap for Marcus Rashford for not Tyrone Mings, for Ollie Watkins. And again, I've seen stuff about Watkins moving on, so I don't know if Unai Emery and Villa will be open to that. They've already moved on a striker with John Duran earlier on this season, so I don't know if they'd be up for that swap. But again, it's that kind of creative thinking that will probably be able to get United some deals if they work in that regard. Mr. MH, Craig, is Osherman possible to be signed? Of course. I don't think it'll happen, but Napoli are willing sellers, and I think he will move somewhere full-time this summer. If you're asking me to guess, I'd always lean to Chelsea. It just doesn't strike me as a Liverpool striker. So this is the type of stuff that really makes me laugh, Philip. So you said Ekitike was woeful against Spurs, nowhere near good enough for us. Firstly, did you not see the goal he scored in the first leg, which was an absolute belter, that he drove at the Spurs defence, ran about 40 yards, 50 yards with the ball, and then curled it into the bottom corner. To say he had a bad performance in Frankfurt and that means he's not good enough for us is like saying Mohamed Salah wasn't good enough for us. I don't get it, mate. I'm not saying you're 100% wrong either, but I would never judge a player off one performance. So I think you've been a bit reactionary, but again, let's wait and see what happens. Did you hear the links about Haaland and Madrid? I did. I did, and I would be a liar if I said to you that I wasn't hoping that happened. Not because I'm a big Madrid admirer, but can you imagine? Can you imagine the piss being boiled at City if they lost Haaland? Um, one thing they won't be doing there though is getting Haaland to run his contract down. What does he have, like 9 years to go? His overall game was so raw. Last looked worse than Nunes. Well, he is still young. He's 22. Not the finished product by any stretch. And I'm not going to sit here, Philip, and tell you that he is good enough or not. I really don't know. But I do trust that the boffins will get it right. The guys who make the decisions. What I don't like about it, Philip, is the price tag. 16.5 million euro was what they paid for him. And now, with one really good season, and he did play alongside Marmouche the season before, but now they're talking £80 million, which is 100 million euro there or thereabouts. That seems excessive to me personally. Stevie Boy said, can the Scouser come out and give us something? What's with the silence? I don't know. I promised myself coming into this stream, Stevie Boy, that I wasn't going to start moaning about Trent on this one, because I'm sure everybody's just exhausted with the whole situation. But mate, my take on it is the same as yours. I'm sick of the silence as well, and I want him to come out. Now, I want to run a poll that has nothing to do with anything other than our channel for a minute. I want to know what you guys want to do tomorrow for the watch along. I want to know, do you want it to go back to open chat? Because if I'm being honest, for the streams that we've gone back to open chat over the last week, I've had no real issues with it. Like any stream, there might be one or two comments you don't want to see, but in the main, I think it's been okay. And I want it to be open to everybody, but I don't want people coming in and, making the chat toxic. So, two options here. We can add more moderators if things get bad, or we can stick to what we have and go with member only. I'm going to put it up and see what people want to vote on. So, 1 second. Right. So, should we go back to open chat for games, yay or nay? We'll leave that running for a while in the background while we talk through some of the news. There will be bigger audience and more trolls, so no. I think that rationale is probably incorrect. If anything, to be honest with you, the interest in Liverpool content over the last few weeks has been decreasing. And not just, like, not an Anfield Agenda thing. This is me looking across the board. And it is nowhere near, because people kind of feel like our season's nearly done. We want to celebrate the league title, but there is no pivotal moments that are going to have trolls coming in. So, like, if we lose a game, no one's going to come in and say, "Guy, you're going to lose the league." The league's won. So, look, but either way, happy to go with whatever everybody wants. That's why I put it to a poll. Craig, can we get an Agadoo tomorrow when Liverpool score? I mean, I don't mind a bit of an Agadoo. Push by an apple, shake a tree. But, yeah, why not? If I remember it, my man, if I remember it, then why not? Now you have me singing it in my head, though. Craig, why not open it for Liverpool Leicester and see how it goes? That's kind of what I meant by the question, but good show. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, look, if we did it tomorrow and it became a shit show, then obviously we'd go back to member only chat. I just want to again prove to people, like, it's got nothing to do with the finances of it for me. It's to do with making sure the chat is as welcoming and friendly as possible. If anybody's going to moan, it'll be me. Because I am a moany git, let's be honest. Techers, much love, my man. I can't get that Agadoo song out of my head now, Johnny Sins. How are you, bro? Do you know what I mean? Agadoo. It reminds me of all my Spanish holidays growing up. Push pineapple, shake a tree. I got do. Jordan Pickford breaking knees. Na 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 na. Right, anyway, let's talk Florian Wirtz for a little second. Apparently, Bild in Germany have said that Florian Wirtz's top priority is to join Real Madrid. He believes the club would give him the best chance to win the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or. Now, obviously, Florian Wirtz hasn't got the memo that Trent's going to win the Ballon d'Or at Real Madrid. So, there's going to be a big queue there. So we've got Vinicius Jr., who's nowhere near good enough to win a Ballon d'Or, in my opinion. You've got Rafinha, who may win it this season. No, wrong team, sorry. Well, he may win it this season, but either way. So you've got Vinicius Jr., you've got Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, maybe Trent, Rodrigo. Florian Wirtz, no, there's a big queue over there. So I don't know if he's getting the memo or not, but he wants a Ballon d'Or. Craig, that broccoli is getting closer. What broccoli? I don't remember any talk of any broccoli. You're full of it. Don't worry, man. I'm a man of my word. I'll eat the green weed. The horrible devil's food. Marcus said, don't be shocked if Haaland wants to leave. In Norway, Alfie Haaland, his agent and father, is quite open about that Haaland wants to experience different leagues. Look, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I was more surprised that he signed that 10-year deal. There would have to surely be some type of little clause in that. Because I can't imagine, let's say, if City end up facing multiple points deductions or relegation or whatever from the case, that he's going to want to be playing in League 1 or League 2. But let's wait and see. It's definitely an interesting situation, Marcus, that I'll sit back and watch unfold, knowing that it's not really going to hurt me as a Liverpool fan. Jumpers for Goalpost said, do you think that Liverpool may be able to get a deal done like Barcola out of PSG? He's due a renewal but hasn't agreed and is not getting starts each week. Don't know is the honest answer. Yeah, I really don't know. Look, they want the best French youngsters in Paris. I don't watch them week in and week out to know exactly who starts and who isn't. I know that they do have a lot of young attackers there. Doué, obviously they brought in Kvaratskhelia from Napoli, Dembele, but I don't know is the honest answer. Not a name I've seen come up in conversation with Liverpool being linked to it, but that doesn't mean anything really. Riley said, Craig, for me, Villa could be dark horses for the title next season. Haven't been watching them over the past few weeks. They've been exceptional, but I don't want to judge them too soon. I don't think they'll be near the title. I agree with you that Unai Emery's done a brilliant job there. But weirdly, I feel like if they end up in the Europa League, they've even less chance to go and win the Premier League. Because that Thursday, Sunday football is a pain in the backside. So I think it's very important for them to get back in Champions League this season. It's kind of not in their hands at the minute, although they aren't far off now. They do have an inferior goal difference to a lot of the other teams, but totally can understand why you think they're going in the right direction. But Liverpool could be about to try and steal one of their players, and thank you for the segue. Empire of the Cop have said, Liverpool have identified Morgan Rogers as a key summer transfer target and are determined to beat Arsenal, Manchester City, Manchester United and PSG to his signature. See, at first when I seen this story the other day, I thought it had to be a load of pony. But now, it seems to be gathering a bit of pace. Now, the likelihood of it, I haven't got a clue. But safe to say, he's a player that's really delivering this season. And every time I look up, the lad's either scoring or assisting. And I think it would be a very exciting and a bit of a statement signing if we were to do it. But I don't know. What do we think? Is it realistic? Is it possible? I really don't know. Now, one good thing to hear was last night, again, watching Sky Sports back pages with Miguel Delaney and Mark Ogden. Miguel was speaking about how much wiggle room Liverpool have with PSR. So, we do have the ability to go out and spend money, but, you've got to consider the FSG part of it as well. Look, I really appreciate the open, honest conversation, like from the likes of Jamie Edwards, who said, "No open chat, please, Craig. I'm not a member, so it would affect me, but some of the comments on match days can be quite toxic. Had to turn it off." Totally appreciate that, Jamie. And that's why I'm putting it out for people to vote on, mate, because I don't want to just make a decision that people aren't happy with. But we'll see what the poll shows. And let me say this, if we do and it starts being toxic, well, it'll go back to member-only chat. But thank you for your honesty, mate. I really appreciate you. Eli Wood said Morgan Rogers would cost close to Jack Grealish. I've no idea what he would cost. Haven't got a clue. Can't even see that I've seen a price tag mentioned. Frankfurt wanting 100 million for a Kittikate is ludicrous. It's 100 million euro, Riley, so it's about 82, 83 million pound. But you're still right. I still think it's 20, 22 million too high. I think 60 million is the number. Because it is still taking a punt, whatever way you look at it. Like, you are still paying for potential there. So I would be, well, look, I'd be concerned if we spent that much money and it meant we couldn't do business in another area we wanted to strengthen because of it. But again, I don't think Liverpool are going to pay 100 million euro for him if they look to sign him. I just don't. Kyle said, I would say matchday chat is most toxic towards the club. Normal shows, if a person is toxic, it's normally aimed at Craig. I would agree with that. You know, I don't think I particularly get too much abuse on a match day. But like both of you gents have said, it does seem to be very toxic towards players or the club. So again, this is why I love our community. Open, honest, sincere, and I really appreciate that. Do you think Liverpool will sign Alexander Isak? Said Heckers. No, mate, not a chance. Yeah, I just don't think so. I think Newcastle would like to bring in somebody to give them more cover there, with Callum Wilson getting on in years. So this is why, again, I'm putting 2 and 2 together here, and maybe it makes up 4, maybe it makes up 20, but I'm trying to figure it out, and I can see us revisiting Gordon, and that being the player that Newcastle may part with, because of course Harvey Barnes has done really well. And if they sold us Anthony Gordon, maybe there could be some type of deal with a defender going from us to them as well, which would help them in that department, and it would maybe give them more wiggle room to go and bring in whomever they want as that second striker. For us, it's just got to come down to what happens with players whose contracts are running down a bit. So I don't know what's going to happen with Ibu. I don't know what's going to happen with Diaz. But I get the feeling Diaz is going to be sold. Would subscriber only make a difference, or would it just be the same? Well, it is on subscriber mode now. And I have it on subscriber mode that you have to be subscribed for, I think it's 5 minutes before you can comment. But I can make that much longer or shorter as well. Alex said, I think Trent is staying. You're not the first person, Alex, to gain some confidence in that department. I don't, but I can't say definitively one way or the other. Like I've said all the way through, I've had no inside info on Trent. I haven't got a clue. I'm reading other people's thoughts on it, and it still doesn't feel like there's much momentum, is probably the right word, behind him staying. But again, it hasn't been announced definitively that he signed for Real Madrid either. So, let's wait and see. We know Trent could be in the matchday squad tomorrow, back training this week. Don't think he's ready to start, nor do I think he should be starting, by the way. I think Conor Bradley should, until we know what Trent's future is. David said, as a member, I don't mind an open channel. We're all family on Anfield Agenda. Appreciate you, David. Thank you, my friend. So, a few little updates that I can give you about our live shows. So, I was exchanging emails with one of the owners of the Hot Water Comedy Club today. And this is what I can tell you now about the 2 shows, right? So, Show number 1 on the left-hand side, the title celebration party. Let's talk about that one for a minute. So the last day of the season show, here's what I can tell you is going to be happening that day. The first 500 people through the door will be getting, the first 500 people there will be getting 500 free pints. I can't remember what the beer is. 1 second, I'll tell you. Madry, I think it is, or Madry, I think that one. So 500 free pints, I'm hearing. Venue's opening at 11 a.m. They're going to show the game on the big screens all around the venue and in the rooftop bar. Then there's going to be some fun, shall we say. There's going to be a Liverpool musical act playing songs throughout the day as well. I could be involved in a few other little bits and pieces. Then, after the game and the trophy lifting up, I'll be doing my live show in the theatre. And I think we'll have a musical act for that as well. We're trying to book that one in as we speak. So that's the last day of the season show. On the other show, which is the Wednesday, again, we're looking to get a musical act booked in for that one if we can. Myself, Connor, Chris, Jack and Steve will all be together as well. And both of them, we're going to have some fun for you on the day. So hope you can come along to them. And yeah, going to be fun. Hope to see you there. Let's pin that link to the top, actually, Mark, for anyone who does want to look at the tickets. Let me pin it up. There we go. It's pinned to the top of the chat now. Jason said, all you can do at Matchday Chats is give it a go tomorrow and see what happens. I'm a non-member, so obviously I want it open, but if it gets toxic, well, then I totally understand. Appreciate you, Jason. Thank you. Right, let's talk about set pieces, because Arne Slot has had a little bit to say about Liverpool's set pieces. He said, if you lose the battle of set pieces, it's hardly impossible to win a game of football, and the good thing for us is defensively we do well. Maybe we do good, but offensively, a team like us that has so many set pieces has to score more. And I think we'd all agree with that from Arne. We don't seem to score from anywhere near enough set piece chances, in my opinion. I think it's 5 or 6 this season, working from memory. And I agree with him. We should be more dangerous. I would kind of disagree a little bit with us defending set pieces because, you know, I'm still feeling anxious when we defend a set piece. I'm not as confident as maybe the manager is there, but definitely in an attacking sense, we should be far better. You know, when you've got the height of Konate and Van Dijk in there, I don't think we cause teams enough trouble. Will you be doing any more live shows later in the year? Don't have a clue at this moment in time, to be honest with you. Probably is the answer. You know, I'm going to be sticking around on the channel next season, so, you know, it depends on the times and the areas. So, for instance, I could probably confidently say we'll do another one in Liverpool, but I have a dream of doing one in Spain or one in Germany or one in Canada. But like I've always said, I need some help sorting venues and getting in touch with the right people to make it happen. But yeah, probably, most likely. I love them. I really enjoy them because I get to meet you guys in person and say thank you. Craig, would you prefer back-to-back Prem or a Champions League win next year? Oh, belter of a question, Kibbs. Thank you. You know what? Back-to-back, mate. And I've been talking about this a little bit over the last week or two. The reason I say back-to-back is I couldn't be the only Liverpool fan who's getting fed up listening to some people talk about COVID titles or a title because everybody else was underperforming or whatever. Like, it's nonsense. And it's not our problem if other people underperform. But I would love a back-to-back because I haven't seen it. And also, what do you say then? You know, there's no undermining it if you go back-to-back. So, yeah, I think back-to-back. But I can't lie, this season's Champions League campaign felt disappointing to go out that early. You know, we did so well in the league format. And to go out in the last 16, the first knockout stage for us did feel like really underwhelming. And it's been tough sitting back and watching on as Aston Villa played and Arsenal played, of course. So, yeah, back-to-back for me. Eli Wood said, pre-injury, Ibu was a top 3 centre-back in the world. The set-piece goal versus Milan was crucial. Post-injury, he's been a shadow. So, if Ibrahima Konate's contract wasn't in the position it's in, I wouldn't even entertain a conversation about his future. If he had 2 or 3 years left to go, this wouldn't be a topic for me to discuss. But the way his contract situation is, the interest of PSG in him, that's what has me concerned. That, and I'm not fully convinced by Kwanzaa. What about local venues? So, weirdly, Andy, and I know this sounds bad, the chances of me doing a gig somewhere like Dublin are probably slim to none. For 2 reasons. And again, I'll be honest. Reason number 1, the first one we did sold shit in Dublin. Reason number 2, the venues in Dublin are incredibly expensive to put a show on. So I would say it's way more likely for Belfast, Galway, Cork, somewhere like that. I'm Irish, of course, I'd love to do shows. But I'll be honest again, nothing stings more than feeling like maybe your own people don't want to come and see you. So what I mean by that is, we go over to Liverpool, we always do quite well. Go up to Belfast, we did okay up there. But if you're in Southern Ireland and it doesn't do well, it hurts more. Because, you're Irish. They're your people. They're the ones you want to please. So, yeah. What happened to McConnell? Nothing. Nothing that I'm aware of. Yeah, he was kept around because of Tyler Morton's injury. I think he was supposed to go on loan, but bright one for the future, definitely. Craig, do you expect to win at Stamford Bridge if already champions? If already champions, honestly, I'd like us to be a bit more experimental. So probably not, Petter, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see what direction Arna does go once the title's won. Like, does he start to, give players a bit of an earlier summer, as an example? Like, start to rest up players who would normally be playing. I don't think he could really do that with Mo when there's records to be chased. But I'd be interested to see if he starts to play Chiesa more, Elliott more, even if it's to put these guys in the shop window. So, I'm unsure, mate. I'm unsure. But you guys are in trouble now, because Champions League is slipping away a little bit. Quinelle said, I love our 3 prospects, McConnell, Rio and Leone. I'm right with you, bro. Right with you. I haven't been anything other than impressed when James McConnell's been on a pitch. He just strikes me as somebody who has already earned the manager's trust. I think he's a really good player. And Trey Leone, I think, is an absolute superstar in the making. And of course, young Rio, it's just a matter of time. James said, would love to see it in Cork. Would love to go down to Cork. I mean, as I mentioned, Belfast is a city I love to visit. But Cork feels like a good hub of Liverpool fans as well. It's just about finding a venue, mate. And that's where I'm useless. Do you think we might see more bench players get more minutes in the future games if we win the Prem this weekend, said Decanter? Yeah, I think so. It makes sense, right? Like, if I'm a coach and we go out and we win the league, I'm certainly going to want to let my players have as much of a break as possible before the rigours of next season. So it would make sense to start rotating at that point. I know you have to be professional, and I know that our games can impact other Premier League places for other teams and all that, but also, if the league's won, the league's won. We've nothing else to be playing for. I mean, you could talk about points tallies, wanting to hit a specific tally, but I'd be very surprised if we don't see some rotation or experimentation. What's up with the links with ROVELLA? So let me get to that one for you, and thank you for bringing it up, my man. So this piece here, coming from Gazzetta Italia, said Liverpool have made initial inquiries for NICOLO ROVELLA, the 23-year-old Juventus midfielder currently on loan at Lazio. This comes the part now where I ask for some help on him because I don't know anything about him. All I can look at this and think, right age profile. Other than that, don't know anything about him. And I'm always nervous when we're looking at players coming from Serie A. Craig, would you care if our form drops after winning the league like it did in 2020? It's a really good question. I think I'd care for the Arsenal game. That's one's important. I think I probably care a little bit for the Chelsea game because I'd like to try and, sorry Petter by the way, but I'd like to try and make sure that they don't get Champions League football. But after that, other than the last game of the season, I don't mind, to be honest with you. No one's going to get close to us one way or the other, so it's all good. Carlos, such a lovely comment, my friend. So I just want to say, love this Family LFC channel. Thank you, bro. Very kind of you. But it's good people like yourself, mate, that make the channel what it is. And if I could ask a quick favour, if everybody is enjoying it, do drop a like on the stream for me. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, we'd love you to do that. Rocky said, are Real Madrid broke? Is that why they wanted the Super League so bad? I often struggle, Rocky, to figure out the finances of Real Madrid because you look at what they have at the club right now, and surely that is an extortionate amount of money in wages every week. So you've got Mbappe, you've got Vinicius Jr., Luka Modric is still there, Rodrigo, Valverde, Jude Bellingham, Thibaut Courtois. And then you look at the way that they've gone after a lot of players who are running down their contract. So I truly don't know, but it seemed 2 years back that there were stories about Madrid having some financial concerns. But what I really don't understand about the Super League shit is how they're still not being punished for it. Like, they're talking about it non-stop. Florentino Perez, one of the people pushing the whole Super League thing the most. And yet they seem to still get treated like royalty by UEFA and everything around UEFA. I hate them. Sorry, Rocky Man, I'm going off topic a bit, but I hate them. I hate the entitlement. I hate the arrogance. I hate everything about that club. It all just looks like a club for Instagrammers and influencers who, and I'm going to say this as well, I feel like I've gotten some really dodgy decisions over the course of the years in their favour. Lewis Davis said, Craig, can you believe that we can win the league next season and this time tomorrow we could be partying? It's difficult to talk about next season's league title till you know what the business everybody's done is. But I will say this, signing up Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah makes me feel a lot more confident that we're going to be able to at least compete to regain this title next season. And I don't expect to be partying tomorrow, to be honest. I do think even if Arsenal are flat, they'll get a point to prolong it a little bit further. But we're going to do a watch-along of their game on Wednesday. And actually, one more quick thing. The Premier League predictions is going to come out on Tuesday morning of this week, I think. Yes, because there's midweek games. So some of the teams that are playing the FA Cup semis are playing Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll have Premier League predictions out early this week. So do keep an eye for it. Tanya said, Moise Keane at 42 million as a striker of Fiorentina. Thoughts? He's definitely another one of those players I've never been fully won over by, but can't argue with the numbers he's putting up this season. He's doing very well at Fiorentina. One of those players that I felt like had some big movement and weird movement around his career, like on loan at Everton at one point, or at Everton at one point. That was weird. Juventus seemed to move him on quite quickly as a youngster as well. But some players just take a little bit of time to settle in. And whilst I'm not going to profess, Tanya, to say I've watched much of him, I have certainly noticed the numbers that he's put up at Fiorentina. We should look at Yildiz from Juve. What a player! I agree, Joseph. Brilliant player. That's a player I certainly can talk a bit about. Um, Looks like he's the future of that Juventus attack, really. Be very surprised if they did sell him, but not a bad shout at all, mate. He's a very, very good player. Rocky said, Craig, can't wait to order the jersey with the gold Premier League champ badge. Yes, sir. Me too. I'm going to... So I'm going to talk you through, one second. I'm going to just bring up what we think of the three kits again. Hang on. So there. These were what we believe will be the three kits next season. So my plan is to get the red one with the gold Premier League winning badge on it, and the green one with the Champions League badges on it. That's my aim for when the new kits come out. But yeah, let's wait and see. We need to make sure they're confirmed. But for me, gold badge on the red one, and then the Champions League badges on the green one. What about Zidane replacing Ancelotti? I'm almost sure it'll be Xabi Alonso, but you know, you can't sit here and say that Zidane couldn't do well there. You know, the lad won three Champions Leagues in a row, I think. So yeah, but I think Alonso seems to be the talk of the town anyway. Troy said, I would love Arda Güler. Arsenal are the name I've seen more strongly linked to Arda Güler than us, although there was a link to us the other day. James Delia said, would be nice to win it tomorrow, Craig, on a long weekend so we can go on a bit of a bender. Of course. Yeah, look, if it presents itself tomorrow, mate, we'll party and celebrate it. But I can't lie to you. I prefer us to win it against Spurs at Anfield, just for the people who were there and at the game. So, like, I know our friend George in the chat is going to be going because he's a season ticket holder. So I'd love for George and other Liverpool fans to get to experience that release, that adulation when we do it. So the more Scousers or the more Anfield faithful that can be in the stadium, the better. So yeah, I hope we do it against Spurs personally, but I'm not going to be upset if it's tomorrow. Can you see Saliba leaving Arsenal? Only if Real Madrid made a big play. I think that's maybe the only way. Because, you know, to be fair, I'm a Liverpool fan, but to be fair to Arsenal, you can make the argument they're going to compete. And to keep a top player, you want that. They're in the semi-final of a Champions League this year, and still, you know, with a chance to go all the way. They're going to finish second in the league. So, you know, he's at a club that at least he'll feel like they're going to be consistent Champions League participants again. But if Real Madrid come and knocking, I don't know. You know, I'm glad it's not a Liverpool headache because I'm sick of the sight of Madrid. Right, let's check in on the poll. Nearly up to the 1,000, so we want to get to 1,000. So if you haven't voted, please do. And the question is, should we go back to regular open chat tomorrow or leave it at members only? So yes, if you'd like it open as regular chat. No, if you want it as member only. If those are the kits for next season, I think I may buy the third kit, said Lee. For me, the home and the third one would be the ones for me, Lee. I'm not a fan of the white one because, well, namely I'm fat and I don't look good in white. But yeah, I'd definitely be a buyer of the home and the third. King 7th, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Said, would you be most satisfied if we beat Arsenal at Anfield to win the title? No, I'd be a bit nervous if I had to wait that long. I'd be happier to win it against Spurs and then have Arsenal give us a guard of honour when we walk out at Anfield and yeah, that. I'm a bit of a shithouse, mate, so I'd like the guard of honour. Hope you're doing well tonight, said Mr. Roberticus. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, my friend. Looking forward to tomorrow. It feels weird having a whole week between games. You know, we've had 2 a week for most of the season, so Sunday to Sunday feels like an eternity waiting for the games to come around. So yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. David said, I live in Italy, watch ROVELLA, he's a baller. Sweet, appreciate the input. I don't know much about him, David, but at 23 years of age, he's certainly in the right age profile for us. Again, to come back to this from Fabrizio Romano, said, Luis Diaz leaving Liverpool is not guaranteed, but it is a strong possibility. I feel like he's going this summer, Luis Diaz. I don't know where to, but I do feel like he's going, especially because the piece Sam Maguire wrote a few weeks back suggested that we were willing to use Diaz in part exchange for Julian Alvarez when City were selling him. So it looks like we've been open to a potential sale of him for a year. And he's a year older now. Still no breakthrough in those contract negotiations. So I think we see him depart. But again, for me, I'd rather keep him and sell Jota. Because Darwin's gone. So for me, I'd rather keep Diaz, sell Jota. But I think we may see Diaz go. And like I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised for us to revisit Anthony Gordon. Cyberflea said, I prefer the current home kit. I'm wearing it now. I think that home kit this year is one of the ugliest kits in the history of the football club. Honestly, I despise that kit. It'll be better when we win a league title in it, but that colour is one of the ugliest things I've seen, and I was so disappointed when I seen that was this season's kit. It was even looking at it now and at one of the pictures, man, it's just I don't get it. The colour's horrendous. Has Dan's played for Sunderland yet? Nope, and I don't think he's going to, Joseph. He's going to stay at Liverpool and finish his rehab. Daniel said, sorry to ask again, but do you think Rio could rival other youngsters like Yamal and Doué? I hope so. It's very difficult to say for certain, but he is thought of so highly inside the game. And Liverpool worked really hard to bring him in from Chelsea, and you could see how annoyed Chelsea were to lose him. Never say 100%, but definitely you've every right to be excited about the young man. Thuram from Inter would suit us, quality player. I think he's picked up an injury at the minute, but he was linked, and so was his brother, but again, bringing in players from Serie A always makes me nervous, especially when we've just had a striker situation not work out for us. Now, I know Thuram's French, but, over at Inter, I think he's probably settled there as well. Hopefully, the Saudis come for Nunez and Diaz early in the transfer window, so we are not waiting around. Yeah, I hope the same. Look, I don't know where the players' preferences are. I don't know where Lucho's future and Darwin's future will be. But like you said, I do hope that we at least get the key positions we need filled quickly, which will be left back and centre forward for me. John and Tom Werner out said, genuinely, Craig, realistically, who do you think we're looking at? I have a feeling it won't be a kid to get due to his €100 million price tag. So genuinely, I think it'll be him. I agree on the price tag being too high, but I think we'll find common ground somewhere. I have this weird suspicion that we move on 2 centre-backs for some reason. One, Konate, because we can't renew. And one other one because I don't think the manager's convinced by Kwanzaa. So I see there's a world where maybe we bring in HUIJSEN, Hato and Kirkes. And that sorts out left back and left-sided centre-back. But that could be me being really, really optimistic. Right back, I think you're looking at... Who knows? Who, like, maybe Frimpong if Liverpool feel adventurous there, but do you need to spend 40 million euro when you've got Bradley there? I don't know. Um, Up top, as I mentioned, I do think it'll be a kit again, and I feel like if Diaz goes, we may revisit Gordon. But again, I'm not saying this with any level of confidence. Would you quit pizza for Isak's career at Liverpool to get him for free? I mean, yeah, because that would be unenforceable. So I'd just cheat. Can you see us going for a number 6 in the summer? Just to give Gravenberch some rest, said Jason Hammond. It would be a sensible thing to do. Like I've said, I don't know if Stefan Bajcetic is going to be viewed as that guy, but we got very lucky this year that Gravenberch wasn't injured because, let's be honest, we overplayed him. How much would you offer Diaz? $120. 120 is probably, because you do, like, he's 28. His end product hasn't been enough. We're not exactly being held to ransom on the left side of attack either because we already have Cody Gakpo there. So, yeah, I would say 120, 130, somewhere around that. But I'm fairly certain he's going to be sold. Craig, I think Frankfurt want 100 million for Hugo because of the loss of Marmouche. Not sure, but look, if he's the one the club want, then I hope we get him. And I would rather we pay a little bit extra than don't get the club's number 1 target. But I just don't think he's a justifiable 100 million quid player yet. Or 100 million euro player yet. I don't. I think he's a 65 million pound player. But again, like I've said all the way through this, I just want who Arne Slot wants, because I want the manager to have the squad he's happy with and that he trusts, and then, he succeeds or fails by his own decision. So I want who the manager wants. Have you got anything on Trent? Contacts, been hearing a lot of him. Nothing, Rowan, not a bit. And like, Stevie Boy said at the very start of the stream, I just want an end to it. It's tiring, the whole thing. So whatever he's doing, just let us know. Staying brilliant, going, just let us know. Who will cover Bradley if he's out injured next season? Well, I think we will be bringing in a right back. If Trent goes, I definitely do expect that we bring in a right back. I was reading a piece on the Echo earlier on, and it was an opinion piece, and they were just kind of flirting through some right backs, and the ones that were on the list off the top of my head was, I think it was Muniz or whoever the guy is at Palace, Jeremy Frimpong. Who was the other ones they were talking about? Oh, Pedro Porro, they mentioned in the article as well. Again, this is just an opinion piece, so not necessarily saying these are the ones to go after, just the particular journalist that wrote this one was given their opinion on it. So who else was there? Let me just read it for you, and I'll tell you exactly who they were. Where was it? Now I can't find the article. Typical, isn't it? Yeah, typical. I can't find the piece now. Yeah, apologies on that one. Can't find the piece. But I'm trying to think of who the other right backs were. Oh, actually, yeah. Now I remember. One of them was Jules Koundé. Now, to be fair, the guy did acknowledge that would be an extremely difficult deal to get done. But roughly, they were the ones I can. 4 of the ones I can remember anyway. So we only need about 10 or 12 more votes to get to the 1,000, and then we'll close the should we go back to open chat for the games from tomorrow. So once we get to the 1,000 votes, we'll show you the results. Mark said, "Hey Craig, how you doing? Any chance we're linked to PSG's Barcola? He seems really good." A few people have actually mentioned that one tonight. I've not seen the links, but you know, if PSG are overstacked and he's not getting game time, maybe he looks for a move. But truly, mate, I don't know. Right, so we've got the over the 1,000 votes. Thank you, and 66% of people said we go back to open chat. So look, we'll give it a go tomorrow. We'll try the Leicester game with subscriber-only chat, which is the way it is now. And if it's fine, we continue on. If it starts to get toxic again, well, then we'll switch back to member-only chat. But thank you for your time and thank you for your consideration. What about Dean HUIJSEN? I feel like he's the one that we want at centre-back. I feel like there's been lots of positive vibes from journalists. Nobody will say it's done yet because it isn't. Chelsea want them, Liverpool want them, Madrid's name has been mentioned, and a couple of others. I do think we would make the most sense for him because we'd still allow him to develop. We could make sure he gets enough game time. He'd get to learn off and beside the best in the business in Virgil van Dijk. Caught offside said Liverpool look to have a significant advantage over Real Madrid in the race to sign him. And, you know, you would hope you take a look at Chelsea and go, what? Because that's a bit of a mess. And if they don't get Champions League football, which at the moment is looking very possible, I would again say bigger advantage than to Liverpool. And him and Kirkes, and I'm delighted. Absolutely delighted. If we brought in him and Kirkes, I'm over the moon. And then if we had to lose another centre-back, I think Haddo would be a sensible play because of the coverage he can give you in a couple of positions. Do you think Richard Hughes would be a difference maker for Kirkes and Dean? So, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say who told me this because I don't want to get them in trouble. But somebody told me that he had very little role to play in bringing Kirkes to Bournemouth. That was more on the manager than anybody else. So, don't know. But he, obviously he was the sporting director, so he would have played some role in it. But do you know what baffles me? There's been so much positive PR over the past few weeks about Richard Hughes, mainly from our coach. And again, I'm going to argue, I don't want to give him a big pat in the back for getting 2 contracts for 2 players who were desperate to stay sorted. So for me, the jury's still out on Richard Hughes, and this summer transfer window is going to give us a real indication of how good he is. And if he gets it right, then he will absolutely deserve the plaudits. But I find it difficult to give him an attaboy for getting Virgil and Mo sorted out when they were desperate to stay and seemingly they're both on 400 grand or upwards a week. I think I could have sorted that deal if those were the numbers being mentioned. So Mark's just letting me know that there was a bad injury for Van Heck in the Brighton game earlier on, and he has been discharged from hospital after suffering a head injury. So thank you for that one, Mark. Appreciate the update. Actually, let's speak a little bit about the manager, because I think, here's... no, actually, this is David Ornstein. David Ornstein said, Van Dijk's priority was always to remain with Liverpool, and that was matched by their ambition, which is expected to be underlined by their summer transfer plans. So I'm getting excited here by what David Ornstein's having to say. They've saved money in the last couple of windows, so their finances are in good shape at a striker, for example, and we do expect Darwin Núñez to leave. To strengthen at left back, like a Milos Kerkez, for example, but that would require one of Robertson or Costas to leave. A centre half to arrive, they like Dean HUIJSEN. Let's see what happens with Konate's contract and maybe more to do what is expected to be a busy summer at Anfield. So, you know, the journalists are giving it the big in there as well, talking about Liverpool's financial power. So let's wait and see what happens. Let's talk about Florian Plettenberg speaking about Xavi Simons. And he said Manchester United, Liverpool and many others are all keen on Xavi Simons. Leipzig want £68 million if he decides to leave this summer. It's possible that he leaves this summer. We had a poll last night on the channel where we asked, do you want Simons or Cherki? And overwhelmingly, it was Cherki. I think it was like 76%, something like that, said that they wanted Rayan Cherki. And when you take into account the numbers in it, that one of them is about just shy of £70 million and the other one could be available for £25 million, I'm saying get Cherki. Personally, I've not seen, like, there's a couple of Liverpool fans I know who are excited about the idea of Xavi Simons, but I don't know. I've always been honest with you guys on him and said I'm not sure. I think I'd prefer to take a punt on Cherki at 25 than him. Jason Hammond said, don't get the hype behind Simons. Can't see Simons, to be honest, said Tanya. Dave said, Craig, what have I missed for you? Meant to be your day off. I know, Dave, but I was sitting down earlier on and I was going to record the news video. And I just kind of sat here and I thought, you know what? Just do a stream tonight instead. Because I don't like the pre-recorded videos as much. They're good because the reason I do them is I know some people don't have an hour and a half to come on and join me for a stream. So I try to give people the news in a condensed form as well. But I always try to do the streams where possible. And today, the way the day worked out, I had plenty of time. So, yeah, just decided to jump on, my man. Jurgen Splurgen, mate, I love your name. It always makes me laugh when I see it. Said, Hasso, Dutch international, left back, centre back, 30 million is from Ajax. Yeah, and like I've said a few times, my man, if we lose 2 centre backs this summer, which is entirely possible, I think HUIJSEN and Hasso would be 2 genius pieces of business to bring in. Trey said, Cherki replacement for Elliott outgoing. Yeah, that would be my thought process. And you know what? Again there, you'd make a profit. Now look, there are some players who were talking about moving on this summer that aren't my choice to move on. And I would dare say a lot of you guys don't agree as well. But we have to acknowledge that the likes of Endo, Chiesa, Elliott, Konate because of his contract situation, and Diaz are all up in the air. And of course, then we still don't know what's happening with Trent 100% yet. So a lot of uncertainty, which makes it really difficult to say Liverpool are going to do X, Y, and Z. When we spoke about, was it Anfield Sector yesterday that said that they expect the transfer window to be in 2 phases? I agree with that. Phase 1 being the priority signings, left back and a striker, and then phase 2 being the replacement signings. I think that makes sense. Jasper said, call me deluded, but Cherki and Elliott seem similar in profile. If there's no space for Elliott, then why get a player who fills the same role? So, again, it's a fair point, Jasper, but I can't tell you Arne Slot's thinking because I wouldn't be looking to move Elliott on at all. If anything, I want him to get more game time because I think he can offer us something a little bit different. So I really don't know, mate, why he isn't getting a look in, but Cherki's a name that's been mentioned around us for a couple of windows. And again, I'm not sitting here saying 100% that it's him or Simons, but they are options. Fermin Lopez was another name mentioned. Is it true that Darwin is possibly leaving? Possibly. Darwin is 1,000,000% leaving. Like, gone. If there was one deal I would hang my hat on, it's we're selling Darwin, and it's the right decision. What about Bajcetic? Unsure, Ed, what the situation is there. I'm a fan of Stefan Bajcetic. The words I'd love to hear from Arne is that Stefan's coming back into the fold and that he's going to be the rotational or competitor for Ryan Gravenberch's position. That's what I'd love to hear from Arne. But truth is, Ed, I don't know what the plan is. Can you only sign 2 players in the first window? Yes. In the mini 10-day window, yeah, 2 players is the max. Now again, that doesn't mean you can't agree a deal, hang off on putting the paperwork in for 6 days and do it then. But yeah, apparently in this mini little window, two signings in the first 10 days. Craig, do you consider Slot's type of offense too slow? Yes, I do. Too slow, too one-dimensional, and too annoying. I hate it. I do. I can't lie. I've no problem with going long occasionally when you've got the players to get in behind, or you've got a centre forward, or a team's playing a high line, and you've got players like Virgil or Trent or even Ibu who can ping those balls. But when I see Diogo Jota up top and we're playing these balls and it's not working, or we're going side to side and looking for that perfect killer pass, and we're playing it right in front of the opposition who have everybody back behind the ball and there's no space, it does annoy me. I'd be a liar if I said it didn't. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen when Arne gets an Arne squad that he feels maybe he can utilise more. Like, will we see a higher intensity because maybe he feels like he can rotate more and he doesn't want players to burn out? Can I see Trent staying? I'd love him to, but again, I'm not seeing much, even from people who would be far better connected to the situation than me. There's not really much positivity around him changing his mind. Like, I totally understand as a Liverpool fan, and I'm similarly myself. You're hoping, because every day that goes by that he hasn't signed or at least announced the Real Madrid deal, you're wondering, is the doubt creeping in? Has he seen Virgil and Mo staying? Does he feel more, oh shit, I can't do this? I don't know the answer to it, but it's a perfectly understandable question to ask while things are up in the air. Gut feeling, he goes, but let's wait and see. Do I rate Cunha? Yes, I do. Didn't rate him as much until somebody mentioned the Bobby Firmino role to me. And then, of course, I was impressed when he played us. He scored a very good goal against us. Totally understand anybody having the frustrations over, or the concerns over, his temperament, because, of course, he has picked up some silly red cards. But, yeah, I think he's a good player. And I think he would do well at Liverpool. Sorry to ask, but who's the officials tomorrow? God, you know what? I'm sure Mark sent it to me. He always does. So I'm going to scroll back through my messages with Mark. Because he's always so good at letting me know the officials. Let me have a look. Let me have a quick look for you, mate. One sec. Don't know, mate. I can't see it. Oh no, that's not it. Yeah, sorry, man. I can't see it. It's not Michael. I think it might be Stuart Atwell. Off the top of my head, I have a feeling it could be Atwell. But yeah, don't hold me to that. I don't know is the honest answer. But again, something in my mind just makes me think it's Atwell. Sunset is the guy. Very good shout. had seen his. Is he the guy that has the "You'll Never Walk Alone" tattoo as well? By the way, and there's been a little bit of chatter about him over the last day or two. So yeah, good shout. It is Stuart Atwell. The chatter saying Stuart Atwell. There you go. Stuart Atwell, and then Hatzidakis. So there you go. Yeah, Hatzidakis will be the one of the linesmen. Riley Grant said, I've been watching some of your older videos and I have to give credit to everyone behind the scenes for graphical improvement over the years. Exceptional work. It's lovely of you to point that out, Riley. I am in no way responsible for any of the upgrades in that department because I know nothing about graphic design. You know, we had Draughty at one point with Connor helping us out, and he's built the studio you currently see. The thumbnail designs and stuff are done by Connor. We also have a guy called Matt that's been filling in and does some of our social media. And shout out, Matt, if you're watching. Matt has helped me out this week while Connor's away with thumbnails and stuff like that. But we always want to keep improving and pushing the envelope. And I love green screen. Like, I love it so much that I'm about to paint this wall behind me. Let me show you what my setup looks like, actually. So I'll show you the far side of my setup, and then I'll be able to explain it better. One sec. Right, so let me just. So that's currently my setup, right? So the green screen, as you can see behind me there on that wall, with more green material underneath it. That's our monitor. That's my TV that's mounted on the bracket above it, my camera, and my light. But the wall that you see the green screen on behind me, I'm going to paint that entire wall green, including around the sides of it, so it will be able to give us more depth in what we want to do with the green screen. But yeah, that's my desk that I work on. I work from, excuse me. Ian said, sorry to be a pain, not having a good time. Ian, you are never a pain, my man, and I'll always remember your grace that you showed me when I made that mistake last week, Eno. I'm sorry to hear that you're not going through a good time. Truth be told to you, Ian, I'm the same. I'm in a bad place at the minute. I was only speaking with my wife about it last night. I'm struggling day by day as things stand. But I hope you feel better soon, or things turn around for you soon, Ian. I know what a good person you are, man, and I know what a good supporter of our community you are as well. So I hope things pick up for you soon. Can you show us your signed Firmino shirt? I don't have a signed Firmino shirt. I have a Bobby Firmino painting, but I don't have a signed Firmino shirt. I have a Bobby Firmino painting. I have a signed Trent shirt, a Jota shirt, a Van Dijk shirt, what's the ones upstairs? Xavi Alonso, Alisson Becker. I have a Champions League medal set, and a couple of other things in the wardrobe that I haven't got framed up yet. Craig, hope you're well. I very much doubt this will happen, but do you think Oshman could be a potential target in the future? Oh, I have a Gerrard shirt, mate. Yes, Stephen Gerrard shirt is the first thing that you see when you come into my house. So, one sec. I think I have a picture of it here. Of me when I was very skinny, which makes me depressed looking at it. Where's my Stevie G? Do. So many photos. Yeah. Oh, I've got a Lucas Leiva one as well. Yeah, so there's my Stevie G when you can just see it behind me there in that picture. Picture makes me sad because that was me pre-COVID, before the weight went back on. But yeah, you can see my Stevie G one behind me in that one. Would you hang a signed Trent jersey in your house? There's one on my wall right now. There's one on my wall, my man. But it'll be coming down if he leaves. I promise you that much. Where is it? Yeah, as soon as he announces he's going, that Trent jersey's coming off the wall. 100%. Yeah, there you go. So, here you go. There you can see my living room. Virgil, Diogo, Trent, and then the Bobby Firmino painting that I was talking about. Yeah, they're what's currently up on the wall in my living room. But I have a Xavi Alonso one that's going to go up, and then a few other bits and pieces that are getting framed up. So yes, if Trent leaves, that shirt's 100% coming down off the wall, mate. No surer thing than that. Trey said my wife got me a signed Mo jersey for my 30th, best gift ever. I've never been able to get a Mo Salah shirt, to be honest with you. I've tried, I've not been able to get one. I have a Lucas Leiva one upstairs because I named my son Lucas after Lucas Leiva. So before Lucas left in his last season, I made sure I got a signed Lucas Leiva shirt so I could give it to my son when he got a bit older and tell him who he was named after. Prepper said Jota and 30 million for Cunha sounds fair. Then sell Darwin for 60 and put it towards a Kitika. So there was definitely talk of Wolves and Jota, but I think Diogo wants to go to a club playing in Europe. So I think they'd be interested in it, but I don't know if it would appeal to Diogo. Orbicom said, very inspiring to see all your hard work paying off. You and the AA team deserve it. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Roberto, you've always been a long-term viewer, even as a Juve fan. The memorabilia stuff, look, I used to work in memorabilia, so memorabilia is something I've collected my entire life, to be honest. I've got probably too much stuff. So yeah, I have a problem with that stuff. I love collecting it. Does Sabrina have any memorabilia? I got her. So we've got a few weird bits. So she got a copy of Kurt Cobain's Suicide Letter, and we got Oliver Stone signed. I think it's the third draft of the script for Scarface that's signed by Oliver Stone. We have that. I've got some Sons of Anarchy stuff getting framed up at the minute for her. So yeah, bits and pieces, but she doesn't really get the appeal of it like I would. I have ridiculous stuff, like I have a Pele Maradona one, a Luis Suarez one. God, I'm trying to think what else. It's in storage, so. Can't you just get a Salah shirt from the club shop? I've never really seen one on sale. They seem to be out of stock every time. And also, and I say this sincerely, they're robbing bastards. I don't know what other way to put it, but the club absolutely overcharge for anything signed from the club. So it actually really annoys me how overpriced it is, because you can get it from other very, very reputable sources for a lot less. And it annoys me how expensive stuff is. Is there anywhere to get former shirts, Stephen? If you're yes, xplayer.co.uk. So explayer.co.uk. They do it. They raise money for charities in Liverpool as well, which is where I get a lot of my stuff from. I bought 2 pieces off them recently. I'll show you. Sorry, by the way, this feels like Craig showing you loads of images of his gaff. Yeah, I bought these off them recently. So these are 2 things I bought off the X-Player store recently. That Istanbul set I had my eye on for ages. So it's got the medal. It's signed by Gerrard and Rafa. and it's got a few other bits, and then the Xavi Alonso shirt that you can see there. They came from the X-Player store. So certainly I would say to people, have a look on there if you're looking for it on xplayer.co.uk. Lee Hughes said, anyone watching the last game of the season at the Arts Club in Liverpool? Do you remember I told you I turned down $6,000, Lee, to do a show? It was in that place. Now, it's got nothing to do with the venue. I just didn't feel comfortable about the way the event was coming together. So I stepped back from it. But that was where I was supposed to be. But I just ended up saying, no, look, I'd rather be at the Hot Water Comedy Club, where I feel like I'm happier with the organisation of what's going to happen. Cease Trading website says it's reopened, I believe, the Arts Club. I think it reopened a while back. X-Players aren't selling anymore for some reason. Really? And I only bought those like 6 weeks ago, the ones I just showed you. I don't know. Maybe it's people on their mailing list get them. So I don't know, to be honest with you. Patrick said, I just imagined how amazing it would be to have a young Luis Suarez playing with Mo. That would be devastating for the Prem. It'd be incredible. I often wonder what would have happened, Patrick, if we had have got to see Suarez and Torres together. Which website is Ceased Business? Sorry, I'm very confused now. Who ceased business? Which one is this? Sorry, I'm very confused. What's my favourite place in Liverpool? Hot Water Comedy Club, Blackstock Market. Oh, X-Player? Really? Holy shit. Wow. That's nuts. They were even like selling tickets. So I almost bought a hospitality ticket via them, like a hospitality season ticket via them that they were selling, I think, as an outlet for the club. Wow. That's really sad. I bought so much stuff off them over the years. That's really sad to hear. I must look into why, but I mean, God, that's sad. Shit. Really sorry to hear that. Have I ever considered wearing the Istanbul medal? No. I am waiting for my full-size Premier League trophy that I'm hoping will be here in the next week or two, though. That we're going to be bringing over to our live shows so people can have a photo with it and practice a trophy lift. We're also going to be giving away some mini Premier League trophies, the same as this one, at our live shows. So whoever does the best trophy lifts, we're going to reward them with mini trophies. That's really genuinely sad to hear about X-Players, though. God, they were so good and always really fair in their pricing as well. Craig's bank balance heaves a sigh of relief hearing they've gone out of business. Nah, with Adidas coming back to Liverpool, mate, I think the old bank balance is going to be in trouble as soon as we start seeing the retro Liverpool Adidas gear. Where would you prefer us to officially lift the trophy? Well, we're officially lifting it the last day of the season at Anfield. That's happening. There is no other place for the trophy lift. It's the last day of the season at Anfield, as per the Prem's rules. But if you mean win it, I'd rather we do it at Anfield against Spurs next week, so Anfield can celebrate it when the league's officially won together. Stefan Bajcetic has won the game against Atleti. Huge win for them. He was the only midfielder not replaced during the game. Played the full 90, doing really well out there. Thank you, Adam. Good to hear that one. Good to hear Stefan doing well. There was some talk that he might stay in Spain another year, so interesting. But also good to see that Valencia are pretty much safe now. I think they're on 38 points or something like that. So it looks like Georgie Mamardashvili and Valencia are certainly safe in La Liga for another season. Craig, I've been thinking about this, but on a different topic, back to Caicedo deal. Do you think FSG bid on that knowing they would be outbid? So, by the way, over the last week, I felt a little bit grubby at times because I feel like I'm speaking not in defense of them, but I'm speaking positively on certain subjects about them because I try to be fair. But no, I've always said I feel like that was a genuine offer. And the reason I've said it is because remember how that happened. It went to a midnight sealed highest bids that we won. So they had gone for a higher bid, and it was the player then and Chelsea that kind of decided he was staying at Chelsea. But the reason I think it's a real bid is because like the bid was accepted and he would have become a player. And what would have been the excuse if it was accepted he was willing to come and he didn't sign him? So I have to believe it was a real offer. Sonny said, I think it's time to get a Champions 24-25 shirt on and get ready for the title next week. Always great content from you and the crew. I think you can be fairly comfortable and safe, mate, getting your 24-25 Champions top. I've been a long time fan. Can you please send me a mini Premier League trophy? No. Buy it. Same way I do. They're on Temu. They're only about 13 quid. Um, So yeah, it's not like I have some mad factory in my back garden making up trophies. I've ordered and bought 10 of them to give away to people who were, gone out of their way, kind enough to come out and see us at our show. But yeah, just look on Temu. You can find them on there for like 13 quid for the one I just showed you, the mini one. Eli Wood said it was definitely a real offer. We just don't know where the money evaporated after that. Well, we did spend some of it. Like if we go back to that same window, we did buy Gravenberch, we did buy Endo. I believe after the Caicedo incident. It still annoys me that he chose Chelsea over us. It does. I can't lie. It does because we were always the better project, and he could have been a Premier League winner now. Now, to be fair, he will be a Europa Conference League winner, but he could have been a Premier League winner and he could be guaranteed Champions League football. So I don't know why he went there. I don't know if it was the dough on offer or whatever, but I think he made the wrong decision. Corbin said Isak is worth 80 million, not 150 million. Madness. I think he's worth up to 100, but I agree with you on the 150 million being madness. Um, but that's, they're in a good position. He's probably getting Champions League football next year. They won a trophy this year. The fans love him. So I think he probably stays. And that's why I keep saying I think Anthony Gordon is one that we may revisit. Dave said, Craig, I agree. We'd look stupid to put in an offer and then say we couldn't afford it. Exactly. I just don't see the upside of them doing it. That whole night, though, was one I'll never forget because I remember when we won that sealed bidding process, jumping on to do a stream, and I had never been more convinced that we were going to be guaranteed success. And I was thinking, that's it now. We're boxed off. We've Virgil, we've Mo, we've Allison, we've just agreed for Caicedo. We've got good strikers up top. And I was fully convinced. I was thinking, that's it now. It's all done. And then it fell apart and I was devastated, like absolutely devastated after that deal fell through. Weird how rival fans always find excuses for our titles, yet City, Chelsea get praised for their wins. I know, and Riley, I said this so often. If Arsenal had won the Premier League this year, there would be no talk. Even if you swapped our role and their role, and they were 13 points clear, there'd be no talk whatsoever of it being a weak Premier League campaign. All you'd hear is that Arteta is the second coming of Jesus, and that Saka should win a Ballon d'Or, and Miles Lewis-Skelly is better than Messi ever was, and everybody be circle jerking, and the London media will be up in celebrations, and it'd be all great, and it'd be the biggest achievement ever, and Arteta be a god. But when we do it, all of a sudden, a lot of the, well, let's just say more football fans than journalists, but a lot of the football fans have been like, oh, the shit league, terrible league, it's the only reason you won it. Right, well, what does that say about your own teams then? It's not our problem if you don't perform. Liverpool weren't given a sniff by anybody to win the league, and Arne's come in and done it in his first year. In fact, I remember hearing conversations from former players, who, I think even Glenn Johnson, if I remember correctly, who said that Arne Slot was basically coming in just to be the fall guy after Jurgen Klopp. And then once that's out of the way, you can bring in another manager and then maybe win something and start building back success. And I said at the time, very passionately, nonsense. Arne's not coming in. Arne isn't that type of guy. He's turned down big Premier League jobs before, and he's coming in because he thinks he can win something. And he thinks he can continue on Jurgen's good work. Now, I didn't think we'd win the league this year. I'm not trying to say I'm that guy, but I never for 1 second bought into the Arne Slot was coming in to be a sacrificial lamb nonsense. Craig Adams said, if the Prem is crap, then why are teams doing well in Europe? You're not allowed to come in here, Craig, and start using common sense. You know, that's not welcome in football land, mate. You're right, though. It's just begrudgery to Liverpool. That's all it is. Same as when we won the first division, or the first league title. They were like, oh, it was a COVID one, doesn't count. Everybody else was shit. There was no fans in the stadium. That's the only reason you won it. Winning it this year, again, can't just show the good grace to go, you know what, fair play, deserve to win it. Most consistent team. Tanya said, manager of the year, Sky Sports said Forest manager, a good show. It's not a bad show, but it's Arne Slot. You know, Nuno, the job he's done has been absolutely incredible. And I fear they'll drop out of the Champions League places at the very end, but regardless, a very credible show. But the answer has to be either Arne Slot or, you know, if Arteta goes and wins the Champions League, you can make a very valid claim for Arteta to be in that conversation as well, especially with it being Arsenal's first ever European Cup. But if that doesn't happen, it should surely be an open and shut case. Like, Salah should be player of the season. It shouldn't even be a debate. And Arne Slot should be manager of the season. Giannis, how are you, my friend? Said, hey Craig, 40 million and Darwin for Alvarez will do it. He was sold for 64 million without add-ons. He's the prototypical Liverpool striker and he wants it. Giannis, I would bite your hand off, sir, for that. He's my number one, top priority, dream Liverpool central striker. I've loved him all the way from his River Plate days. I thought when Man City signed him, I said it at the time, they were getting a bargain. And if there was any way to get him out of Atleti to Liverpool, I'd be all over it, my friend. All over it. The price tag you've mentioned, I would say, is still good value. So, yeah, look, I don't think it'll happen because Atletico Madrid's, I don't know if it was the sporting director or the president or somebody came out and said that he's not going anywhere. But it's definitely the one I think suits us the most, Giannis, and the one that I'd agree with you the most on. Do you see a Man City decline next year? I do, Oisin. Yeah, I do. I was looking at them today. Look, fair play, late win against Everton. But I don't think they look as formidable. Now, Rodri coming back into the team will be very, very important, but you don't know how quickly Rodri gets back to being his very best. Haaland, it'll be very interesting to see if Madrid do make a play for him and how that works out. But also, it'll be important to see what way the charges work out and if there's points deduction. So I think they'll be there or thereabouts next season, but it might be the first season ever I feel they go in sorry, not ever, in the last 7 or 8 years where they won't go in as favourites to win the league. But let's wait and see. I'd almost guarantee you, by the way, that we won't be favourites no matter what happens. No matter what window we have, it'll be either City or Arsenal, but that the bookies will make favourites. Would you prefer Isak or Alvarez? Alvarez. And I've said that all the way through. I think both would be brilliant, but my personal preference would have always been Julian Alvarez because I think he's more robust and I think he's more of a Liverpool type player. What do I think of Franco Mastantuono? The guy from River Plate, I think 17 years of age maybe. I'd seen a link to him. I don't know much about him, but I had seen a link to him and us. I think it was in an Argentinian outlet. But definitely looks like one of the next hot prospects coming through that River Plate conveyor belt. After that, though, I really don't know. If Barca and PSG don't win the Champions League, surely Mo gets the Ballon d'Or. I don't know. I really find it difficult to make a valid case for Mo to win the Ballon d'Or after our early Champions League exit. Now, of course, I'd love him to do it, but I feel like it would be very difficult going out in the last 16 of the Champions League to justify a Ballon d'Or from a Premier League title win, even with the insane numbers he's putting up. I think the ship has sailed, personally, but let's wait and see. Jason, are you having a stroke? Do you need me to ring a doctor for you, mate? Because I don't know what the fuck you're waffling on about, mate. I'm just gonna have to hide you because I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say, Jason. But that is one of the most incoherent, nonsensical sentences I've ever read on this channel. I don't know what the fuck you're on about, but whatever it is, I hope you're okay. What do you think about Trent leaving? Who do you think will be his replacement? I want Trent to stay. Same as most other Liverpool fans. Fear he's going to go, and replacement Bradley plus whomever the extra right back brought in is, whether that's a Frimpong or somebody else. Let's wait and see. But yeah, look, it's a sad situation. There's no denying that. You want Trent to be a one club man. So let's wait and see. Right, look, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. I'm going to go get myself some food and get ready for tomorrow. So remember, we will see you guys at 3:15 for the watch along. It's a 4:30 kickoff. If you want to come and see us in Liverpool, you can get your tickets with a link pinned to the top of the chat. We will leave the chat open tomorrow, see how it goes. And again, thank you everyone who joined us tonight. Appreciate your support as always. We're a little bit short of 500 likes, so if you can hit that button for me, appreciate it. How do you stay so energetic through lives? Don't know, Oisin, but sometimes, mate, when I finish them, particularly on a long watch along, I really am mentally exhausted by them, but it's my job. It's important that I'm energetic. I hate dead air time, and I hate watching streams that are monotonous with people who are distracted and not paying attention to what they're doing or not interacting. So I don't know, mate, but it gives me energy doing it. So I love it. But much love.